Hello, everybody. This is a video I decided to create about my experience at the Milwaukee VA yesterday. I had to allow myself a bit to settle because normally my blood pressure is normally 100 over 60. But yesterday I think it was raised to about 180 over 120. And I will tell you why. I've been with the Milwaukee VA for the past 10 years for all of my services. In fact, because I require additional services outside of the VA, I was approved for Veterans Choice, which means I'm allowed to get acupuncture, massage, and chiropractic care because I've had two major back surgeries, which have affected my sciatic, and once in a while it goes out and I can't walk or get to the bathroom. So, anyways, lo and behold, when I was approved, they assigned you, of course, a primary care physician. She's at the VA, and her name is Denise Costello, and she's a nurse practitioner. And I have had nurse practitioners in the past, have loved them, but they assigned me to Denise, and I felt she was very clinical, very cold, very disconnected. Um, it was just not the experience I needed to thrive. And she had a nurse named Jamie, and I don't know, there was something about her that is also the same way. So, anyways, uh, Denise decided one day to tell me that part of my care through the VA was discontinued, and this was a service I needed in order to alleviate my pain. I was kind of in shock. I I said, well, we need to take a different route because this is not going to suffice. And she said, nope, that's it. And I finally had had enough, and I said I contacted the patient. I forgot what it's called, patient coordinator or whatever. And I said I need a different primary. And they said, well, you have to write to the head of the VA. I think it was Dr. Erdman, and you have to request a different. And I stated my case. I said I would like to have a different primary. This primary, Denise, is not working for me anymore. And I was denied twice. And so then the patient care advocate said, well, write the head of the VA in Illinois. They'll review your case. And I wrote very cohesively. I would like to have a different primary. This primary is not. And I wrote everything out, and and so they finally approved me. And now I see Dr. Sangani. So, anyways, Dr. Sangani is a sweetheart, an angel, and a blessing from heaven. She's just a wonderful, wonderful, loving, and kind doctor who truly listens to and cares about her patients. And so I found a spot on my left breast, and I thought, well, this is what I need to have it seen because I want to make sure I'm okay. And so, anyways, they said my Dr. Sangani was busy and we will schedule you with someone in the Red Clinic. And I thought, okay, no big deal, right? Well, I get to the Red Clinic yesterday to check in for my appointment, and lo and behold, the nurse who did my vitals said, you're going to see Denise. And I said, no, I'm not. I am not going to see Denise. I said, what is her last name? She said Costello. I said, no, I'm not seeing her because I fought like tooth and nail to get a different primary. So, anyways, I said, no, we're going to cancel this appointment, and I will leave and go to the Yellow Clinic where I go. And she said, well, we'll just wait just go sit in the waiting room in the back, and we'll see if we can find someone else. I said, that's fine, but make sure Denise does not come back here. I said, I don't want to see her, run into her. I don't want to cross paths with her. By no uncertain terms are we doing this today. I said, she is not going to care for me. So I'm sitting in the back waiting room, and lo and behold, who walks in but Denise Costello with her mask on. And I said, you are not taking care of me. And she said, but you're on I said, no, we're not talking. I don't want to talk with you. Just just walk away. And she would not walk away. You need to go. Just go. I'm not talking with you. You're not my primary. You don't care for me. And so she kept trying to talk to me, and you're on my workload. I said, no, I'm not. Just walk away. And she would not walk away. And I said, I'm getting up to walk away. I'm leaving. I'm going to see my doctor, and we're going to have this all rescheduled. So when no means no, and someone says, don't talk to me, walk away, just leave, it just do it. You as a doctor don't have rights over me. You are not God. You need to leave me alone. So that's the first gripe. So then I decided, because I considered it harassment, to file with the police department at the VA, just to say it. You guys have signs up all over the VA about harassment, but yet give me a break. Just put her on notice. I don't want to be on her workload. If she sees my name by accident, take me off, tell them to reschedule me with someone else, whatever. So that was the first thing. So when I walked up to the window for the police department at the VA, of course, the girl's on her cell phone, and I had to tap on the window to get her attention. And she was a real bee. If you're working, get off your cell phone. You're a moron. And you weren't even nice. It's ridiculous. Okay, she's not a moron, but you're paid to work. If you're at the police desk, you should be paying attention to your surroundings, because if someone walks in with a firearm and you're on your cell phone, what are you gonna do? I'm just, give me a break. And then I go get lunch, and I get a sushi platter, and it's $15.50. And I normally use my card, decided to just pay with cash. And so she says it's $15.50. I give her 20, and I had the change in my hand, walked to the table, put my singles, in my wallet. Look at my change, and I got 30 cents back. $4.30. I got a quarter and a nickel, and the nickel was one of those brand new shiny ones. And I said, well, I was shortchanged because I should have gotten $4.50 back. So I walked back up to her register, and I said, you shortchanged me. She says, no, I didn't. I said, you did. I said, well, first I said, how much was this meal? She looked, and she said, it's $15.50. I said that I should have gotten $4.50 back. Instead, you gave me $4.30 back. Here it is. No, I didn't. I said, actually, yes, you did. There's cameras all over the place. It will show that when I got to the table, I looked at my hand and there was only 30 cents. You search, well, whatever. I'll just give you 20 cents out of my pocket. I said, no, just go get a manager and we'll deal with it. So she walked in the back, came back out and said, the manager told me to give you a quarter back. And I said, oh my gosh, give me a break. So she never brought a manager out. So anyways, I ended up going to the yellow clinic. And then I don't know, I after I was done eating, I went, and there was a different food station, and I said, do you guys have a manager? He said, yeah, he's right there. So I went, and wonderful guy. He was just very nice. And I just told him, I said, I was shortchanged, went up to the register. She said, no, I didn't. And I said, yes, she did. He said, oh, she didn't even handle that right, because the minute a customer says they're shortchanged, the manager comes out and starts counting the drawer down. And I said, I used to work in banking, and I didn't want to hold the line up, and I didn't want, because I know how long it takes to count the drawers down. He goes, oh, it doesn't take that long, but we could have seen if there was any shortage or overages, and we would have given you your change. So she didn't even handle it right. And she doesn't take that type of feedback well, because she'll always say no. So it's her first reaction. So anyways, that was my experience at the Milwaukee VA yesterday. Knowing this, they can take this as a lesson and improve services for vets. If someone has fought tooth and nail to get a different primary care provider, it should be in their record not to schedule them with the person they requested to be removed from. It should be in big red letters all over the record, online, in their chart, whatever the point is. Don't schedule them with this doctor or nurse or whomever, practitioner. Anyways, that's all I've got. Sorry for this lengthy video, but I did want to share this because you got to fight for your rights. Like the Beastie Boys said, fight for your rights to party. No, for care. So anyways, that's all I've got, and I'll be back.